Okay, good morning everybody. Lesson for today, alright, is Wednesday the 29th of April. Just going to get our headings up on the board, here, up on the screen here now. Alright, so we're looking, it's our last lesson in vegetation, Bahamian vegetation. Today's date, Covey connection and objective just here, okay? Now, like I said, this is our last lesson in vegetation. There's going to be quite a bit of reading and highlighting to do with some notes to add. Because it's our first lesson, just finish heading up there and I will show you the next slide. Okay, so in our next lesson, next Monday, you will have a quiz about this whole topic. Okay, now it's been a very long topic, so you're going to need to work backwards through your notes. Okay, this will be put on Plus Portal in the quizzes section and will be all multiple choice questions. Okay, so it'll be very simple. You're given 4 options and you need to select the correct one for each question. All right, so please ensure that you know where this is and that you've selected geography as your subject. So you're going to have to go into Plus Portal, select your geography, and then go into the quizzes tab. All right, and it'll be in there on Monday morning. I'll also post this in your calendar so you can find it there on Plus Portal as well. Now you'll have 1 hour from when you start the quiz. So once you press start, you'll have 60 minutes to complete the whole thing. Okay, you can't come and go and come and go. But I will leave it up there until Wednesday. So it'll be on Plus Portal from Monday to Wednesday. So you will have to have it done by Wednesday. All right, maybe 3 p.m. Wednesday is the time I'll put up. So that is how long you'll have. But like I said, once you start, you only have an hour to complete it. Okay, I'll send an email out with the weekend to parents to confirm that. All right, so let's continue. 2 keywords to note down under your headings. Okay, native plants and invasive plants or species. So native plants, these are the plants which grow naturally in a place without any input from humans. So every country or part of the world will have native plants. Okay, just like the Bahamas, we have native plants. We also have, a lot of places then have invasive species. So this is plants and animal species which arrive in a country by accident and then take over that place or country, usually, not always, but usually killing the native species. Okay, so these are usually bad. You can have native plants, you can have invasive plants and invasive animals which come in and take over a place. All right, so make a quick note of those. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to jump into page 131 of our Social Studies Book 2. All right, you'll need a pen and a highlighter. There's a lot of stuff to go through. Okay, so we've got about 7 pages of work to read through. So let's jump over there now. Okay, so let's continue. Page 131, okay, of Social Studies Book 2. It's Chapter 2, the vegetation of the Bahamas. Very simple, all right? So let's jump straight in. Much of the vegetation of the Bahamas has long since been removed by the early settlers and by loggers. Okay, so that's very important. What a lot of stuff we see today wasn't here naturally. Okay, and this isn't the same natural landscape. What you could add here, same for many countries. England / Ireland. Okay, so Ireland and England used to just be a big forest land, but when people moved in, they've cleared huge amounts of that now for cities, for houses, for farming, all sorts. Okay, apart from the mangrove swamps, all right, so the mangrove swamps, they're native. I've had a little note over here. Andros has a lot of mangroves. Okay, now these are mainly primary primary vegetation. Many groups are trying to replant mangroves all over the Bahamas. Okay, so we look at mangroves in a little bit, why they're important. Also, if you look back on page 131 with the green box, you'll notice we have 2 words down the list called primary vegetation and secondary vegetation. Now we should have highlighted those from a previous lesson. Okay, I'll just move the camera very simply. Okay, so you can highlight those as well as 2 more keywords. Primary is the original natural growth that has not been affected by humans. Secondary a natural regeneration of plants after the original veg has been cleared. Okay, so primary is kind of like native stuff. All right, so let's continue. New species, valuable species have virtually died out. Sorry, valuable species have virtually died out. So some of the species we had are now gone. Okay, and in their place, new species have been introduced. Now, when we talk about invasive species later, we're going to look at how they actually arrived here. Okay, and obviously, being island nations, being taken over by the Spanish and then the English, and a lot of shipping and stuff going on. As boats come in, they bring in new plants, new seeds, new animals, all kind of stuff like this. Okay, and that's where they would have come from. Moving on anyway. Okay, the four main types of vegetation in the Bahamas are these four. We have pine forests, mainly in the Northern Islands: Andros, Grand Bahama, Abaco, New Providence. All right, broadleaf coppice, mangroves, and coastal veg. Now we're going to look at this a little bit, but mainly these are the three main ones. All right, so let's jump into the pine forest. Caribbean pine is the type of tree. It's evergreen. All right, so it has leaves all year round. All right, you can add that. Abaco, Grand Bahama, Andros, New Providence. So there's your examples of places. All right. Some adaptations. Always good to know your adaptations. The Caribbean pine is adapted to fire and has thick bark which insulates it. So even if there is a big fire, these trees are relatively protected by its bark. Okay. Okay, so now moving on with the Caribbean pine, and you're going to attempt a couple of little questions in just a minute. One of them from this section. All right. So the Caribbean pine is a valuable resource in several ways. So resource means it's something that we can use. Okay. It is a valuable timber that can be used to produce lumber for housing. Okay, lumber is wood used in construction. Okay, so you can add a note there saying lumber is wood that is used in construction. Okay, so first of all, it's good for building houses. That's one valuable use. Okay, so you can highlight everything I've highlighted here. Second one, it can be used to produce pulp and paper. All right, so the first stage of paper making is to mash the timber with chemicals and then roll it out into paper. So what they do is they essentially get the timber, get the wood, okay, they mix a load of chemicals and water and stuff through it, and then they smash that down, okay, into a pulp, into kind of a soft material, which is then rolled out and flattened into paper. Okay, Bahamian pine trees were used extensively for this purpose after the Second World War for about 20 years. Okay, so we actually cut down a lot of our pine trees just after the Second World War to make paper. Okay, it was known as craft paper. In addition, that's the main use. This is the major use. In addition, there's some smaller, several minor uses. Okay, burning the pine for charcoal was once very important for cooking. Okay, and to be exported, to be sent to other countries to be used. Okay, it also used to produce turpentine from the sap. All right, so turpentine was a burning material. You could use it to burn as well. So use that sap. It could be burnt or set alight to be used as a little kind of lamp and so on. Okay, so that's some of the minor uses. You need to know these 2 bullet points for some of the questions you're going to do in just a couple of minutes. All right.